How are you? How's it going?
How's your week?
I hope it's better than mine.
Well, at least she's positive about it this time, because last episode she was like, or one of the last episodes, she was like, you know what? No.
Hope you're having a bad week.
I hope you're having the week that you deserve.
Yes. So it's Mother's Day around here, around these parts. So guess what we're talking about this week?
We're gonna hit you with some Murderous Mothers.
Yeah, I got a couple of good tales for you, but I will give a disclaimer. Like, if you aren't comfortable hearing about children's demise,
That's one way to put it.
you maybe forego this episode. If that doesn't bother, or if the hearing about like severe mental ill cases are not great for you either, then go ahead and bypass it.
I will let you know, as heavy as this might be, we gonna have some comedic relief to it.
Yes.
So
not during the story, obviously, but between my tales, Chelsea's got some good stuff for us to kind of to lift our spirits. And when we initially thought of this idea, we were like, oh yeah, this is going to be so good. And then I actually like started doing the research for this episode, and I was like, this is going to be hard. So, I guess we'll jump right on into it. So I'm starting with the Tinning children, who were Timothy, Nathan, Mary Frances, Jonathan, Michael, and Tammy Lynn. The Tinning children were allegedly murdered by their mother, Mary Beth Tinning, between the years of 1973 and 1985. She was convicted of only murdering one of her children, though. Mary Beth Rowe Tinning was born on September 11th. Not a good date.
Right? I didn't catch that when I read it.
1942, and is currently serving a sentence of 20 years to life after being convicted of murdering one of her children. She was born in Duanesburg, New York, and there she was just a typical child and student in school, but she did apparently have several suicide attempts in her childhood. She worked a series of low-wage jobs in her early adulthood, and eventually she became a nurse's aide at Ellis Hospital. And in 1963, she met Joe Tinning on a blind date, and the couple were married in the spring of 1965. On Thanksgiving Day of 1973, Mary Beth gave birth to a son, Timothy. On December 10th, at only 3 weeks old, he was brought back to the same hospital and was not breathing. Tinning told the doctors that she found him lifeless in his crib, and when doctors found nothing medically wrong with Timothy, they attributed his death to SIDS, which I think now a lot of SIDS cases were re-looked at because unexplained. It must have been SIDS.
Right.
And oftentimes it was a case of
abuse or neglect.
Right. Or murder. 2 years later, on March 30th, 1975, which was an Easter Sunday, Mary Beth gave birth to her fourth child, Nathan. On September 2nd, 1975, she showed up to St. Clair's Hospital with the lifeless child in her arms. She stated that she was driving in her car with the baby in the front seat and noticed that he had stopped breathing. Again, there was no apparent explanation for his death, and it was also attributed to SIDS. In 1978, Joe and Mary Beth made arrangements to adopt a child, but that same year, Mary Beth became pregnant again. The Tinnings did not cancel the adoption and chose to keep both children. In August of 1978, they received a baby boy, Michael, from the adoption agency. 2 months later, on October 29th, 1978, Mary Beth gave birth to her sixth child, Mary Frances. 6 kids.
I'm barely holding on to somewhat of my sanity with 3.
Right.
And a puppy.
In January 1979, Mary Frances was rushed to the emergency room that was across from their apartment by her mother, who was saying that the baby had a seizure. The staff were fortunately able to revive Mary Frances. However, on February 20th, Mary Beth came running into the hospital with Mary Frances again, who was proclaimed to be brain dead. Once again, Mary Beth had found one of her babies unconscious and did not know what could have happened to her, and the death was also attributed to SIDS.
Are you coming in or not?
Amara! She just wants to sit outside the door, meow. Shortly after the funeral for Mary Frances, Mary Beth discovered that she was once again pregnant. And on November 19th, 1979, she gave birth to her 7th child, Jonathan. In March of 1980, she once more showed up at St. Clair's Hospital, but this time with Jonathan unconscious. As with Mary Frances, the hospital was able to revive him, and due to the family history, Jonathan was sent to Boston Hospital, where he was thoroughly examined. There was no medical explanation as to why Jonathan had suddenly stopped breathing, so he was sent home with his mother. A few days later, Mary Beth returned to the hospital with Jonathan, who was brain dead, and he died on March 24th, 1980. Less than 1 year later, on the morning of March 2nd, 1981, Mary Beth showed up at her pediatrician's office with Michael, the adopted son. He was 2.5 years old at the time. He was wrapped in a blanket and unconscious. She told the doctor that she could not wake Michael and had no idea what was wrong. When the doctor examined Michael, he had already passed away. It had long been suspected that the deaths in the Tinning family were genetic, since so many of their children had died. But since Michael was adopted, that theory was quickly discarded. On August 22nd, 1985, Mary Beth gave birth to her 8th child,
Jesus,
Tammy Lynn. And on December 19th, a neighbor named Cynthia Walter, who was a practical nurse, went shopping with Mary Beth and later visited her home. Later that night, Cynthia received a frantic phone call from Mary Beth, and when she arrived at the Tinning home, she found Tammy Lynn laying on a changing table. Cynthia later testified that the baby was not moving, and she could not feel any pulse or breathing. Tammy Lynn was pronounced dead at the emergency room. Suspicion mounted against Mary Beth, who was always alone with her children when they died. However, there was no medical evidence of any wrongdoing. After a police interrogation, Mary Beth Tinning confessed to smothering Tammy Lynn, Nathan, and Timothy, which she later retracted. She denied harming the other children. For the murder of Tammy Lynn, her mother, Mary Beth Tinning, was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison with the possibility of parole. In March of 2007, Mary Beth attempted parole, and at the parole board meeting, Tinning said, "I have to be honest, and the only thing that I can tell you is that I know that my daughter is dead. I live with it every day." She continued, "I have no recollection, and I can't believe that I harmed her. I can't say any more than that." Her parole was denied. Rightfully so, honestly.
Right.
In January 2009, she once again went before the parole board and stated, "I was going through bad times," when she murdered her daughter. The parole board once again denied her parole, stating that her remorse was superficial at best. She was eligible again in January of 2011 for parole and was once again denied. On her 7th try in July of 2018, Mary Beth Tinning was granted parole, and was released on August 21st, 2018 after serving 31 years in prison for the murder of Tammy Lynn. According to People.com, in the time that then 75-year-old was released, she appeared to be living a quiet life back in her home area of upstate New York. Personally, I think she should have died in prison and not had the opportunity to have any sort of quiet life.
Facts.
Because it's awfully suspicious that most of her children died under her care.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, honestly, probably some sort of mental illness. But, I don't know.
She just kept popping them out.
Right.
Like, why keep popping them out if you're just going to hurt them?
Yeah, it was the 70s, early 80s. Well, the pill was around then, so I don't know.
Who knows? Is that it for that one?
Yes.
Okay. So, for this part, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the history of Mother's Day and how it came about. And I got this from history.com. But Mother's Day is a day to celebrate motherhood and show moms, be it biological or not, how much you love and appreciate them and all that they do for you. But did you know that the holiday can be traced back to the ancient Greeks and Romans? Initially, the celebrations were to honor the mother goddesses Rhea and Cybele. Most closely related to what we now know as Mother's Day was derived from a Christian festival known as Mothering Sunday. Once upon a time, this was a tradition in the UK and in parts of Europe. The festival was held on the fourth Sunday in Lent, when the faithful would make the journey to their quote-unquote mother church for a special service. As things will, it eventually evolved into more of what we kind of know today, where the children present their mothers with gifts. But the custom faded until it was made into what we now know as the American Mother's Day in the 1930s and 40s. In the 19th century, in the years before the Civil War, Mother's Day work clubs were started in West Virginia to teach women how to properly take care of their children. This was started by a woman by the name of Anne Reeves. In 1868, she was also credited with organizing Mother's Friendship Day, where former soldiers from both sides of the Civil War would meet with mothers to promote reconciliation. In 1870, another woman by the name of Julia Ward Howe composed the Mother's Day Proclamation, which was a call to action using asking the unity of mothers to promote world peace. She pushed for a Mother's Day Peace Day to be added to the calendar on June 2nd in 1873. Officially, Mother's Day arose in the 1900s as a result of Anna Reeves Jarvis's daughter, Anna Jarvis. After her mother's death in 1905, she saw the holiday as a way of honoring the mothers and all that they do and sacrifice for their children. The first official celebration was held in May 1908 at a Methodist church in Grafton, West Virginia. She organized this with the financial backing of a Philadelphia department store owner, John Wanamaker. He also held an event on that day at one of his Philadelphia retail stores that drew in thousands of attendees. Oddly enough, though, Jarvis was unmarried and childless throughout her entire life. But she was determined to see this be a holiday listed on the national calendar. She noted that American holidays were biased toward men and their achievements, which led to a massive letter-writing campaign to newspapers and prominent politicians asking them to adopt the holiday. Many states, towns, and churches had begun to celebrate this by 1912, and Jarvis had established the Mother's Day International Association to promote the cause. In 1914, President Woodrow Wilson signed off on officially adding Mother's Day to the calendar on the second Sunday in May. Anna Jarvis quickly realized that her holiday had turned into something that she had never intended it to be. She initially wanted this to be a day for families to celebrate, envisioning people wearing white carnations as an outward showing that they were going to church or visiting their own mamas. She even worked with the floral industry to help raise awareness. But once this date was set on the calendar, she denounced the transformation and asked people to stop buying flowers, cards, and candies as it had become too commercialized, as things will.
Right.
You know, things like fucking Valentine's. Oh, I said it, dadgummit. Things like Valentine's
We were doing
Day.
so good.
I'm sorry. Things like Valentine's Day and, you know, stuff like that gets way too commercialized. She campaigned against profiteers like confectioners, florists, and even charities, and had several lawsuits against groups that used the name Mother's Day, spending most of her personal earnings in legal fees. She eventually began to lobby for the government to remove it from the American calendar. By her death in 1948, she had disowned the holiday altogether.
Wow.
And then, as I was researching this, I found 2 fun facts about Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Mother's Day 1968, Coretta Scott King, the wife of MLK Jr., hosted a march in support of the underprivileged women and children. Also in the 1970s, women's groups used it as a time to highlight the need for equal rights and access to child care. Also, here's a good one, and I found this to be kind of shocking. More phone calls are made on Mother's Day than any other day of the year. Phone traffic spikes as much as 37% on Mother's Day. So, call your mama.
Yeah. And you don't have to wait till Mother's Day to call her.
Right, call her every day. I talk to my mama dang near every day. Dang near every day.
Well.
I like that long pause.
Is that what you have?
Yeah.
Okay. So we will move.
I know what you're doing there.
We will move on to my next case, which is probably one of the most famous ones. Have you ever heard of Andrea Yates?
I feel like the name rings a bell.
So the Yates children were Noah, who was 7, John, who was 5, Paul, who was 3, Luke was 2, and Mary was 6 months old. Born Andrea Kennedy on July 2nd, 1964 in Houston, Texas, Andrea was the youngest of 5 children and was raised in a Catholic home. She was the class valedictorian when she graduated high school in 1982, as well as being the captain of the swim team and an officer in the National Honor Society. Andrea completed a pre-nursing program at the University of Houston and graduated from the University of Texas School of Nursing. From 1986 to 1994, she worked as a registered nurse at the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center. In the summer of 1989, she met Russell, or Rusty, he went by Rusty, Yates. They soon moved in together and were married on April 17th, 1993. They announced they would seek to have as many babies as nature allowed. In February of 1994, the couple's first child, a son named Noah, was born. Shortly after, Rusty accepted a job in Florida, and the small family relocated to a small trailer in Seminole. After the birth of their third son, Paul, they settled back to Houston and purchased a motorhome. Following the birth of their fourth son, Luke, Andrea became depressed. It was speculated by media that her condition was influenced by the extremist sermons of Michael Peter Warrenecki. I hope I'm saying that right. Or not, because by what research I did on him, no thank you. He was a preacher that sold them their motorhome. Her family was concerned by the way that she was so captivated by this minister's words. On June 16th, 1999, Rusty found Andrea shaking and chewing her fingers. The next day, she attempted suicide by overdosing on pills. She was admitted to the hospital and prescribed antidepressants. Soon after her release, Andrea begged Rusty to let her die as she held a knife up to her neck. Once again, she was hospitalized and given a mixture of medications, including Haldol, which is an antipsychotic drug. Her condition improved immediately, and she was prescribed it upon her release. Afterwards, Rusty moved the family into a small house for the sake of her health, and Andrea appeared to be temporarily stabilized. In July of 1999, Andrea succumbed to a nervous breakdown, which culminated in 2 additional suicide attempts and 2 psychiatric hospitalizations that summer. She was diagnosed with postpartum psychosis. Her first psychiatrist, Dr. Eileen Starbranch, testified that she urged the couple to not have more children as it would guarantee future psychotic depression. They conceived their 5th and final child approximately 7 weeks after her discharge. She stopped taking the Haldol in March 2000 and gave birth to their daughter Mary on November 30th of that same year. She seemed to be coping well until the death of her father on March 12, 2001. She then stopped taking medications, mutilated herself, and read the Bible feverishly. She also stopped feeding her youngest child, Mary. Andrea became so incapacitated that she required immediate hospitalization. On April 1st, 2001, she began being seen by Dr. Mohammed Saeed and was treated and released. On May 3rd, 2001, she degenerated back into a near catatonic state and drew a bath in the middle of the day. She later confessed to police that she planned to drown the children on that day, but decided against doing it then. She was hospitalized the next day after a scheduled doctor visit, and her psychiatrist determined that she was most likely suicidal and had filled the tub to drown herself. Andrea continued under Dr. Saeed's care until June 20th, 2001. Against Dr. Saeed's instructions for Andrea to have supervision around the clock, Rusty left for work and left her alone to watch the children. Rusty's mother had been scheduled by Rusty to arrive an hour later to take over for her. In the space of that hour, Andrea drowned all 5 of her children.
Jesus.
She started with the youngest boys, and then after drowning them, laid them in her bed. She then drowned Mary, who she left in the bathtub. Her oldest son, Noah, came in and asked what was wrong with Mary. He ran, but she soon caught up with him and drowned him as well. She left him in the bathtub and laid Mary in her brother's arms. Afterwards, she called the police and then called Rusty, only saying, "It's time," repeatedly. Andrea Yates confessed to drowning her children. She told Dr. Michael Wellner that she waited for Rusty to leave for work that morning before filling the bathtub, because she knew that he would have prevented her from harming the children. After the murders, police found that the family dog had been locked up, and Rusty advised that normally the dog was allowed to run free and had been on the morning when he left for work. The psychiatrist concluded that Andrea locked the dog up in its cage to prevent it from interfering with her plan to kill her children one by one. Although the defense's expert testimony agreed that Andrea was psychotic, Texas law requires that in order to successfully assert the insanity defense, the defendant must prove that he or she could not discern right from wrong at the time of the crime. And in March of 2002, a jury rejected the insanity defense and found her guilty. Although the prosecution sought the death penalty, the jury refused that option, and the trial court sentenced her to life in prison in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice with eligibility for parole in 40 years. On January 6, 2005, a Texas Court of Appeals reversed the conviction because California psychiatrist and prosecution witness Dr. Park Dietz admitted that he had given false testimony during the trial. Dr. Dietz stated that shortly before the murders, an episode of Law and Order had aired featuring a woman who had drowned her children and was acquitted of murder by reason of insanity. Author Suzanne O'Malley, who was covering the trial for Oprah magazine, and had previously been a writer for Law and Order, immediately reported that no such episode existed. The appellate court held that the jury may have been influenced by this false testimony, and thus a new trial would be necessary. And on January 9th, 2006, Andrea again entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. On February 1st, 2006, she was granted release on bail on the condition that she be admitted to a mental health treatment facility. On July 26, 2006, after 3 days of deliberation, Andrea Yates was found not guilty by reason of insanity as defined by the state of Texas. She was then committed to the North Texas State Hospital, the Vernon campus. And in January of 2007, she was moved to a low-security state mental hospital. While in prison, Andrea stated that she had considered murdering her children for 2 years, adding that they thought she was not a good mother. She claimed that her sons were not developing properly. She told her jail psychiatrist, "It was the seventh deadly sin. My children were not righteous. They stumbled because I was evil. The way I was raising them, they could never be saved. They were doomed to perish in the fires of hell." She also told her jail psychiatrist that Satan influenced her children and made them more disobedient. Now, about the husband. So in 2006, Dr. Saeed testified that he advised Rusty Yates, who was a former NASA engineer, not to leave his patient Andrea Yates unattended. However, Rusty began leaving her alone with the children in the weeks leading up to the drownings for short periods of time, hoping to improve her independence. At a family gathering the weekend before the incident, Rusty announced that he had decided to leave her home alone for an hour each morning and evening so that she would not become totally dependent on him and his mother for her maternal responsibilities. Andrea's brother, Brian Kennedy, told Larry King on his CNN show that Rusty expressed to him in 2001 while transporting Andrea to her Devereaux treatment facility that all depressed people needed was a swift kick in the pants to get them motivated.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, I think that warrants that. Andrea's mother expressed shock when she heard of Rusty's plan while at this family gathering, saying that Andrea was not stable enough to care for her children. She noted that her daughter demonstrated that she was not in her right mind when she nearly choked her still toothless daughter Mary by trying to feed her solid food. According to authors Susie Spencer and Suzanne O'Malley, who investigated this story in great detail, it was during a phone call that Dr. Saeed made to Rusty during the breaking news of the murders that he first learned that she was not being supervised full-time. Andrea's first psychiatrist, Dr. Eileen Starbranch, says that she was absolutely shocked when the Yates couple expressed a desire to discontinue her medications so that she could become pregnant again during an office visit with them. She warned and counseled them against having more children and noted in the medical record 2 days later, apparently patient and husband plan to have as many babies as nature will allow. This will surely guarantee future psychotic depression. Nevertheless, she became pregnant with their fifth child, Mary, only 7 weeks after being discharged in January of 2000. And despite Rusty's statements to the media that he was never told by psychiatrists that she was psychotic, nor that she could harm her children, and that he would have never had more children had he known otherwise. It was revealed to her jail psychiatrist that prior to their last child, she had told Rusty that she did not want to have sex because Dr. Starbranch had said she might hurt her children. And Rusty, she said, simply asserted his procreative religious beliefs, complimented her as a good mother, and persuaded her that she could handle more children. Author Suzanne O'Malley highlighted Rusty Yates's continuing sense of unreality regarding having more children, saying, during the trial, he'd successfully maintained the position that Andrea would be found innocent. He had fantasies of having more children with her after she was successfully treated in a mental health facility and released on the proper medication. He worked his way through various fixes for their damaged lives, such as a surrogate motherhood and adoption, which horrified Andrea's family, attorneys, and Houston psychiatrists before giving in to reality. As of the writing of this, Yates continues to reside in the Kerrville State Hospital. Although she was remanded to the mental health facility more than 15 years ago, Andrea can undergo a review every year to see if she is competent enough to leave the facility. And every single year she waives this right to review and chooses to continue her treatment.
Well, I mean, at least she acknowledges the fact that she needs to stay there.
Right. So.
Dang.
That one was a bit tough.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you heard it in my voice, but I about got choked up, like, describing what she did to her children.
And see, when I hear those things, all I can think about is the sheer fear.
How
and
scared
terror.
they must have
yes,
been.
Those poor babies.
And especially with it being their mother. One of the people that's supposed to take care of you.
Right, the person that you're
supposed to be able to trust.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I mean, like, I can't even imagine, like...
And that piece of shit husband of hers.
Oh. I mean, like, listen, I know people that are like, we're going to have all the babies, and, like, if that's your deal...
Right, but if it was, like, causing you to think about murdering your children,
right.
Maybe it's time to stop.
Well...
So, what do you have to lighten the mood?
Let's lighten the mood a little bit. So, I have some Mother's Day jokes. Because, you know, we like a good pun.
Right. Hit me with them.
You ready? Why did the mother needle get angry with the baby needle?
Oh, I don't know.
Because she was up past her thread time.
Oh, my God.
Why did the baby snake ask its mom if they were poisonous?
What?
Because it bit its own tongue. Oh, God. What did the digital watch ask his mother?
I don't know.
Why do I have no hands? This is one of my favorites. How is the computer so smart?
I don't know.
Because it always listens to its motherboard.
Oh, gosh. Hi, Mara.
What did the mother say when her child wasn't eating its veggies? Please give them a chance. What did the kid say after having its favorite sandwich made by its mom?
I don't know.
This may sound cheesy, but you are great. What did the child say after receiving a Star Wars toy from its mother on its birthday?
I don't know.
Yoda best, Mom.
I should have known that one.
What did the angry mother broom say to the baby broom?
Oh, Lord. I don't know.
You overswept and missed the school bus. How is it that bat mothers sleep upside down? Bat, like B-A-T.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, they get the hang of it.
Oh, that's stupid.
How do mothers change the diapers of their babies? Rashly.
Oh, it took me a second. I was like, what?
What gift did the astronaut bring for his mother?
It's going to be something stupid. I just know it.
Mars bars.
Oh, gosh.
What did the mother rope warn her mischievous children?
Mother rope?
Yeah.
I don't know, like hang in there or something.
Don't be naughty.
Oh, God. Oh, my gosh.
How did everyone react when the mother wanted to give or to have a snack party in the neighborhood?
Wow.
Everybody chipped in.
These are dad jokes.
Dad jokes from Mother's Day.
Yeah.
What did the mom spider tell her baby spider?
I don't know.
Don't spend too much time on the web.
Are you done yet?
I mean, I have a ton. What kind of beverage helps every mother to relax? Don't overthink this. Because there's several answers, but it wouldn't be a joke.
I don't know.
Mom meal tea.
Ugh.
What did the baby say when he was born?
He probably didn't say nothing.
Next time, I would like to have a womb with a view.
A womb with a view.
Hold on. Here's another. Which day of the year is the most favorite day of Cleopatra?
I don't know.
Mummy's Day.
Should have guessed it. I should have guessed that. But I didn't.
What? Oh, that one's kind of stupid. Hold on.
They're all kind of
Well, no, this one was really stupid.
Look at Amara sitting next to me. She's being a really good girl. Yeah, she's being a really good girl.
Why is it so difficult for the pirate to call his mother?
I don't know.
Because she left her phone off the hook.
Oh my god. Amara, come here. You want to purr into the microphone?
How did the grape thank her mother on Mother's Day?
I don't know.
I love you, Mom. You did a fantastic job in raising me.
Purr into the microphone?
What type of flowers are best suited to gift on Mother's Day?
I'm sure this is a very simple, in-my-face answer,
It
but
is.
I don't know.
Chrysanthemums.
My eyes are going to get stuck in the back of my head.
What movie is the favorite of mothers?
The Mummy.
Mamma Mia.
Oh.
Here I go again.
Hey, I was on the right track, though.
You were. Why are there no Mother's Day sales? Because mothers are priceless.
I was going to say, that's all. There are Mother's Day sales.
Well, why do mothers visit the optometrist twice?
Twice?
Yeah.
Optometrist, that's
Eyes.
I don't know.
Because they have eyes on the back of their heads.
Oh, gosh. It's true.
Alright. There's a ton more. But, like, we can be done. Because these are stupid, but it was funny. It was good comedic relief.
Well, I've got our nonprofit of the week this week.
Yeah.
And I chose the Alexis Joy Foundation. And which is here to help women and families who are suffering from and affected by perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. We help to make you aware of the warning signs of postpartum depression. And through our partnership with Allegheny Health Network, we provide greater access to the help you need, with access to experienced therapists to help you with areas such as postpartum depression, infertility, and infant or child loss. And this intensive postpartum therapy can lead to quicker recovery and help you bond with your baby. While meeting with these specialists, you will learn ways to foster the healthy development of your baby through to infant care and lactation support, helping you feel strong and empowered. And as always, direct donation links are provided in the episode notes and will be on our socials. And I think this was a foundation that was started by the husband of a woman who suffered from postpartum depression. Fantastic. And unfortunately she took her own life. And he wanted to do something to help other women not end that way.
Right.
So.
And I wanted to say, too, if you or someone you know is suffering from postpartum depression, and you've made it to a point to where you feel like you're going to harm yourself or your child, please know that there are options for you. If not, if you don't want to reach out for help with a foundation like what Brittany just told you about,
Right.
There are places that you can go to surrender your child.
Yeah.
To say, look, I'm going to hurt this child.
Yeah.
Please take the child. And I believe there are some areas that have things that you can, ways that you can drop off the child where there's really no contact.
I think we have like a safe haven, safe haven law here in Tennessee where, and I know somebody who adopted a child that was left because of the safe haven law, where they have like a box at like a fire hall, and you just put your baby in it, and then it sets off an alarm inside the building, and you can just go and live your life. And your baby gets to have a whole other life.
Right.
Honestly, I couldn't imagine doing that.
I couldn't either. But if that's...
It's very brave of women who choose to do that.
Exactly. I would prefer that you do that and give that child a chance at life.
Right.
Than to harm a child.
Or to raise a baby in a situation that you know is not going to be the best for them.
I definitely think that the option for you to have someone else take care of your child.
Yeah.
Is always the best option.
And if you're feeling kind of, postpartum anxiety, depression, or if you're feeling like you might have postpartum psychosis, start by telling somebody, hey, something's wrong.
Right.
And reach out. It's okay to ask for help.
It is absolutely okay to not be okay. And if you don't have someone in your immediate life that you feel like you can trust to have this conversation with, our inbox is open.
Yeah.
Reach out to us. We can, talk to you, give you options, or just be someone.
A source of support.
Right. Just be someone to listen. But that being said, thank you so much, guys, for coming and listening.
This one wasn't as long as I thought it was going to be. I guess I read fast.
Hey.
That's probably why I kept getting out of breath.
Right, well. But, thanks for coming to another week, guys. Yeah. We appreciate everything that you do. We are well on our way to 1,000 downloads, guys. Which is fantastic.
I'm excited.
We've got some cool things coming up. Some things that could possibly be in the works soon. Some exciting stuff. Some good episodes coming your way. Some stuff that we're really excited to talk to you guys about. But find us out there on the socials like Facebook,
Instagram,
TikTok,
Twitter,
email,
wandersofweird@gmail.com.
Share us out.
Yeah.
Share us, man.
Give us a review. Oh, that reminded me. You had a review to read.
I forgot. We do. Okay, so we're really bad about looking at these reviews on a normal basis. Yeah. So this review happened like a month ago, if not a little bit longer. But we had a review on Apple Podcasts, because that's the only one that I can see reviews on, apparently.
I don't think you can leave like word for word reviews on Spotify.
I don't think so. But this one says, these ladies are so funny. The way they tell the stories and their commentary is awesome. I highly recommend tuning in. So thanks so much for that review. Can we say who that one was?
I'm sure she won't mind.
That would be, I believe, Miss KK, who also has a podcast with her friend, Kelsey.
Two Without a Clue.
And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. They come up with some good conversations on there.
Right. It's a totally different vibe from what we've got here.
Exactly.
And it's nice. Support our friends.
Right. Go and look them up.
Yeah.
But
what do you want? Don't come over here knocking everything over.
Send us some ideas for what you guys want to hear.
Yeah.
Shoot us a message, either email or Facebook or where have you. Post on the Facebook page. Comment on our posts there. We don't care. Send us. We have ideas. It's not that we're running out of ideas. We just want to know what y'all want to hear.
We went to McKay's in Nashville tonight, and I was like, oh, hey, I had this idea. Oh, hey, I had this
Right.
idea.
We have ideas. We just want to know what you guys want to hear. And we want to, that way we know, that
We're creating content that you want to listen to.
Right.
And take your time with.
So give us
Despite
ideas.
all of the Dollar Tree talk from a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I'm sorry, guys. I know that was probably hard to get through. I was like, if it was not an ADHD fueled episode.
Right. Yes. Have mercy. But we appreciate everything you do. Share us out. Let everybody else know about us. Unless you're too embarrassed that you listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
I understand.
In which case, get wrecked.
She said get wrecked. I wasn't prepared for that. That was not what I thought was about to come out her mouth.
I almost just ended it with that and played the outro music.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. I hope you have a great rest of your week.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye.